Jari, and you're not first. I'm always first. And you should learn that by now. I am here before anyone else. I don't think there has been ever a time when I was here and someone was before me. Because if that's the case, I would like to know. Yeah, Halloween is in my heart. We're going to wait for more people to join, and then I'll tell you exactly what is happening with Halloween in Romania, because it's very interesting. And Jari, if you want a wrench, you need to cough up Super Chat. How about instead of being first, I try not being the worst? Well, I want to be the st at something. You know, the st. Like, don't be better, be the st. So either the worst or the best doesn't matter, but you need to be number one at something. So I want to be the worst, because I can definitely not be the best. I will never be better than Vosh or Hassan Piker. And as such, I can be the worst. Right. Who else is streaming? I think Arch Warhammer is streaming at this hour. I wanted to stream after him, but 5 hours later and he's still streaming. And I'm like, God, what does that man have to say so much? And I also worked on This Week in Stupid today, which is why no video on my secondary channel. My God. This Week in Stupid today wasn't really that great. Wasn't as good as last week, but I think it's still good. It was just a lot of things that happened today, and I didn't get the vibe in order to be cheerful and sarcastic, so I kept procrastinating it until, well, it's 2:30 a.m. Alright, so I played Age of Empires 4, someone asked me, and I played it with Sargon of Akkad. Totally BTFO'd him. We were supposed to play against the AI, but unfortunately he made the game in such a way that I had an AI allied with me, and he had an AI allied with him. And, well, it didn't went his way. Let's put it like that. So, my thought on the Age of Empires 4 is that if you're an Age of Empires fan, you're definitely going to love the game. I don't really like the fact that they didn't add much to it. I mean, it's kind of like Age of Empires 2, but with slightly better graphics, okay? There's a couple of new things that you can do, but overall, same game. The cutscenes are absolutely amazing. If you're a history whiz, you're going to absolutely enjoy some of the lore from the cutscenes. But I don't think it's worth full price. Although, I would give it to the creators that at least they tried to maintain what the Age of Empires heart is like. So they didn't try to have a reimagining or anything like that. No, it's like they looked at what makes Age of Empires, and they stuck to that. And for that, you know what? In 2021, I respect them. It should be a given, but unfortunately, it isn't. So there we go. No, it's not Reforged. It's Age of Empires 4. It's a great game. Therefore, 20, I guess you managed to find the job, because I understand for a while you weren't giving me super chat because of it. So congratulations. I really appreciate it. I see Roman in the chat. Let me show you the cutscenes of Age of Empires, just so you can understand how cool it is. I hope I'm not going to get the copyright strike, but I shouldn't, because most people do stream the game. So there's two types of cutscenes which you can get. One of the cutscenes, if you complete campaign missions, they're going to tell you cool stuff about historical events. So for example, this one tells you about the Trebuchet. And they're very, very nicely made. I mean, look at them.
At Warwick Castle in England, they've built a replica, one of the largest in the world. A pivoted arm with a weight at one end, and a sling to hold the projectile at the other.
So I didn't know that a trebuchet actually functions by having people run in a hamster wheel. So in order to pull this thing down, because I was always wondering, it's like, how do they pull this thing down? Because man, like it looks like it has a lot of weight. And I thought like it's going to be like 20 strong men pulling it down. But no, apparently you just get inside this wheel and you walk around like a hamster.
Projectiles can get up to 150 kilograms. That's the weight of 2 men. Trebuchets were also used to throw burning tar, beehives, even dead bodies. common distress to the enemy.
Did you hear that whoosh?
Yeah, so this is how, look.
So this is one of the wheels.
So I guess you take a person in the left, you take a person in the right,
One of attack rate.
and you're walking, and this thing, it's like 6 tons. That's insane. So yeah, she's got to run through this. Okay, she's got to run like a hamster here. Right, so this is one of the coolest things that I appreciate about Age of Empires, because I know a lot of people don't care about cutscenes, but they realize who their target audience is. It's people who love history. That's the main target who plays Age of Empires, and this to me seems like a nod to the fans. And not only that, you also have the battle cinematics. So the other type of cutscenes are the ones when you actually have to fight a historical battle. So for example, this is North New York.
At the Battle of Hastings, the death of one man changed the course of history. The Anglo-Saxon King Harold was killed here, on England's south coast. His army defeated by William of Normandy. Anglo-Saxon rule was over forever.
So I really love these little cinematics. I think they're absolutely amazing, and I love the effort being placed in it. Have a good day. This is my weekly support chat. V, what is your opinion on worst and best parts of American gun culture? It's a little bit difficult to answer. So the best part of American gun culture is the fact that people can defend themselves. I mean, especially in America, I know there are people who live on properties that are 2 hours away from the nearby gas station. If you have any sort of problem, there is no help coming. I mean, let's say it's not even about criminals, but let's say you have a couple of warthogs that are threatening your farm, or some bears, right? And you have kids there. The fact that you have a gun in order to defend yourself is beyond common sense. The second thing that I love is that even in the city, what happens if you call a police officer? Like, let's say there's something bad and you call the cop. What happens? Well, the officer comes with a gun, right? So why not just shorten the thing? Who do you trust more? Like a cop that's coming from somewhere else, or your neighbor to defend you in the case of a problem? So that's one of the things I like. The thing that I don't like about American gun culture is that, especially the people who want to ban guns, like actors who profit a lot from the gun culture because they make a lot of movies where they have guns, or video game developers, also left wing, they also enjoy talking against guns, even though their video games are pretty much on the gun issue. All these people, they're against guns, but they never talk about gun safety, ever. So I do think there might be a couple of individuals, especially children, who may get access to a firearm because their father has one and he doesn't store it properly, and they don't know about gun safety, so they use it as a toy. And obviously, you know, if it's a 5 or 4-year-old, there's nothing you can do about it. But like, let's say it's a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old, you know, who wants to be edgy. Obviously, he shouldn't have access, but he has it anyway, right? So at least if you were to know, it's like, look, treat it as if it's loaded. Don't fuck around with it. You know, like that type of thing. Don't push your finger on the trigger unless you mean to aim. Maybe it would save some lives. I don't think it would save a lot of lives, all right? Because one of the biggest factors of deaths involving guns in America, statistically speaking, is accidents. But maybe if, like, you know, you have an edgy kid that manages to get access to his dad's firearm and he heard, it's like, okay, treat it as if it's loaded. Don't fuck around with it. Maybe Mr. Alec would have been in a different situation right now if he knew about those things. We have a small general store with single gas pump next to them in the small boony towns. Yeah, this is something that a lot of Europeans can't wrap their mind around. But in America, from what I understand, in some states it's very common. Like you have a house in the middle of nowhere, and there is nothing. Like there's no neighbors. There's no stores. You have to travel 1 or 2 hours to go to a nearby gas station. In Romania, this doesn't exist. In Europe, it doesn't exist. I mean, I'm pretty sure maybe somewhere you can find a backwater village that no one heard about. But usually, if you have a house, there is some community around it. But there are places in America, they used to call them like the hillbillies, right? Because they live in the hills, and there's nothing else for quite a large area around them. Well, I hope I managed to give a good answer, Crafty. Yeah, so that's my opinion about the gun culture. Although I have to say, there is something weird that I don't get about Americans. You see, there's many nations that have guns. So you have Switzerland, you get... I think even in... Well, I don't want to say something that's not true. I think Mexico maybe. I don't know. But there's many nations where people can have guns. And... Oh yeah, New Zealand before... But only in the American mindset, you have the collector. And the collector wants to have all the guns that exist in the world for some reason. I don't understand why. I mean, obviously, he's never going to use them. But I suppose I'm a little bit bewildered by it because I don't understand the idea of collecting. It's something that I don't get. It's like collecting stamps or collecting things. It's like, why do you collect them? Right? So you have like this person that like collects a lot of guns and he's got like an entire armory in his house. Now, if the person is preparing for something, like he thinks the zombie apocalypse is upon us, I would get it. But no, it's like he just wants guns. It's like a house that's entirely made of guns. Like if I'm not mistaken, there was some statistic that the overwhelming majority of guns in America are owned by a very small group of people. So that is something that I don't get. Yeah, I don't understand like collecting coins. Another thing that baffles me. It's like why would you collect coins? Or, you know, stamps. But I guess like some people have this fetish, so I'll give them that. Yeah, it's obsession with it. Russia had 400,000 confiscated by the feds. I guess. A gun collector is a good neighbor. Yeah, but like, why isn't a good neighbor a guy that only has one gun? Like, why does he need an entire collection? Is what I don't get. Although, truth be told, like, I'll give you that. If a person is really that obsessed with guns, he will probably know about gun safety. So I guess, you know, like a neighbor that is obsessed with the things, he probably knows how to use them safely. Bragging rights. Yeah, but like, who do you brag to? I mean, if I'm collecting stamps, who gives a fuck? Each gun has a history, shoots differently, different caliber, styles, lots of different guns, like different trading card games. Yeah, but with the trading card games, you play to win, and you need the cards to win, right? So it's different. I don't collect trading card games because I want to have all the collection. No, it's like I want to make a deck that's good. So I still don't get it. Because collecting means there is an abundance of something, it's a hobby. Not really. I mean, there's people who are collecting rare cars, right? So they're collecting it precisely because there isn't an abundance of that cars. Like they get the last model of blah, blah, blah. You have guns for hunting, guns for protections, maybe a few you inherited. Okay, I get that, right? So if you have like guns for hunting and guns for protection and guns for the range, I don't think you're a crazy person. Okay? But what I'm saying is like a person that has 50 guns for protection, like that to me is weird. There's actually a name for it. It's a gun nut, a person who's crazy about guns. Guns are literally the play to win item. I used to collect Pokemon but never played the game. Okay, but you're weird. Okay, right. So let's talk a little bit about Halloween because this is something that really fascinates me. So yeah, you have to put yourself into my shoes, all right? Growing up under socialism, all information about the United States was restricted. Like, you wouldn't know anything that happens in the US. The only thing you would know about the US is that it exists, it's evil, and NATO is the most evil thing in the world. That's pretty much like the knowledge that people under socialism had. So once socialism goes away and we now get information in the West, the first thing that I got, which was American, I think it was Cartoon Network. Back then they had the Power Zone and they had Johnny Quest and other cool stuff. So I'm looking at these American cartoons, and all of a sudden it's like this Halloween thing. And I'm like, what on earth is Halloween? Like, I never understood. Like, what? And my God, it looks so fucking cool. Now, apparently the history of Halloween is that the Irish used to celebrate it. And then the Irish went into the United States and they took their celebration into the US. And apparently a lot of people loved the idea. So then other peoples did it. And then through the magic of Hollywood, through the magic of Cartoon Network, it actually reached Europe. So now in Romania, Halloween is quite weird because there are people who celebrate it, but it's very limited. So for example, when I was at the University of Medicine, there was this big event, this Halloween party. So you had all the girls and they were dressing up as witches and as neckos and shit like that. And you went there and it was like this very big and crowded bar where people were dancing, and that was like Halloween. But we don't have the kids going around trick-or-treating, which I think is kind of good because I understand if you don't give them the treat, they're going to do the trick. And sometimes the trick involves throwing eggs at your house, and I wouldn't want that. Although I think it's kind of like a shaming mechanism. Like, you look at your neighbor's house, which is covered in eggs. It's like, my God, like this cheapskate couldn't even give candy to the children. Yes, American pride. That is correct. But here's my question. Halloween is pagan. Okay, but the Christmas tree is also pagan. All right? Just read the Bible and tell me where you find anything in the Bible remotely mentioning a Christmas tree. So shut the fuck up. But my question is, can you give money to the kids? Because I think that would be the Romanian thing to do. Like, we used to have the Christmas Carol tradition. I mean, we still do. But you are supposed to give them food. Like, you are supposed to give them nuts and pretzels, and, you know, like things to eat. And what ends up happening is like people just give money to Christmas carolers. So I'm pretty sure that's what would happen here if you would have kids trick-or-treating. And I don't really get the idea of candy either. Like when I was a kid, candy was very rare. I mean, rare as in... Yeah, I mean, under socialism, candy was almost non-existent. But I guess even after socialism, like, candy was something kind of rare. Most candy was bad. But now, like, candy is all over the freaking place. Like, even sometimes at the store, they don't have the money to give you change and they give you a candy. So, I don't know, like, just going trick-or-treating and getting candy sounds like, ugh, to me. Like, especially because I assume, like, if you have neighbors and they shop from the same place, you probably get the same candy anyway. Why would the kids do a trick if they could just go to another house to get a treat? Yeah, but see, it's because of this mindset that people don't give treats. Because if the kids would actually do the trick, then no one would dare not giving the treats. Happy Halloween, V. Thank you, Rob. I don't celebrate it. I wish I would. Halloween is your birthday. That is so fucking cool. Yeah, sugar is dirt cheap. Exactly. So, my question is, like, do you guys give cash to the kids? Like, they come trick-or-treating and you give them, like, $5. Is that a thing that anyone does? What about the carolers for Christmas? Do you also give them... Or you don't give them anything? The rotten egg theory. That's because I'm not a child. Okay, so with this mentality... that there's a difference between me and kids. When I went to the pediatrics, I remember, it was so fun. So University of Medicine, 6th year, we had to go to pediatrics. And Sorry, no, it was fifth year. Fifth, I think, or fourth. Whatever, it doesn't matter. We had pediatrics. And before that, it was so funny because all the men all of a sudden started loving kids. Like, all the guys in my group were like, oh, the kids, they're so amazing. We can hardly wait to see them. And they would always say this when the girls were around, because the moment the girls were gone, it's like, oh, fucking hell, we have pediatrics. Oh, God. Like, they're going to be crying, and it's going to be so annoying, and you have to deal with the mothers. So, literally, like, every single guy in my group, except for B, because I was like, I'm not excited about this. It's, like, not my kid. Jesus fucking Christ. I don't want to. But all the guys, you know, like, when the girls were there, they were pretending they love kids. So, we all decided to get things for the sick children, right? Because you go to pediatrics, like, you're going to see sick kids. And we got balloons, we got, you know, various toys and stuff to give to the sick children. And when we go there, all the kids are having iPhones and iPads and shit. And I'm sitting there with my little balloon, and I'm looking to my friend who had the little toy car. And I'm like, oh, how fast they grow. But yes. Trick and treat is a scam by the dentist lobby. Oh, I love that. So, okay, you don't give them money. But again, kids don't want money. They want candy. You want money. Are you, Lars? Are you mentally deficient? You can use the money to buy whatever candy you want. Even when I was a kid, I would understand that. Like, why risk getting a candy that I don't enjoy when I can just use the money and buy whatever candy I like? Or maybe I don't even want candy. Maybe I can go around to multiple houses, collect a lot of money, and then I can buy something else. Like the FIFA DLC or whatever the fuck kids buy these days. Happy Halloween, my son was Venom, and I dressed as Carnage to take him trick-or-treat. That is so fucking awesome, I want pictures. But speaking of that, right? I think I showed you guys this before. And this is something that I actually don't like in American culture. So the thing with Halloween is that it's supposed to be scary, right? And back in the day, they used to have such creepy outfits. And now everyone goes as a superhero or some Marvel shit. Some cape shit. But this is how kids used to look like back in the day. I mean, my God, this was freaky. Imagine this comes to your house trick-or-treating. You know, I mean, this is cool. It's supposed to be scary, right? Like, that's the whole thing. You're supposed to scare the evil spirits away. Right? Like, why would you dress... Why would you dress as Superman? Or why would you dress as Wonder Woman or whatever? Look how cool this is. Imagine that these are coming... Yeah, why would you dress like this? This is so meh tier. I would not give them treats if they come like this. Alright, go back, change your costume, try again next year. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but it's bad. You need to come with something in black and white. If the picture is in black and white when I'm opening the door, I'm not giving you a treat. By the way, is this actually a thing? Like, do people still dress scary? Have you seen a scary costume? Like, press 1 if you've seen a scary costume this Halloween. Like, something that literally made you just, like, get some spooky vibes. Oh, Among Us costumes, my God. Kids also used to make their own costumes. I don't know if they can. I mean... If I was a kid, like 5 years, I don't think I could have made a costume. What time am I up? It's 3 a.m., but I'm going to go to bed after this. Because Disney and the corporate entertainment industry still a market, yeah. Okay, so Jazion and Korean. What exactly did you see? What was the creepy costume? I would dress as the Australian Prime Minister. I would promise that I would keep people safe from COVID. That would get people screaming. It's like, I will bring what they did to Australia into the United States. I'll keep you safe, motherfucker. Just vote for me. Can you imagine how people would scream? An executioner? That's kind of cool. Overweight woman dressed as a Pikachu. That was spooky. Oh my god. All the stores mass-produced creep costumes. No, but I'm talking about, like, even if you purchase it, it should be scary. Like something that's actually frightful. I live in a place that gets 2,500 kids a year. Jesus. Alright, so I got a picture of Trey. Trey, can I show the picture to the class or is it secret? It's up to you, Trey. You get to decide. Let me see. That is so fucking adorable. That is adorable. It's not scary, but it's adorable. Let's see if Trey allows me to share with the class. Dress as Fauci with a beagle. Oh my god, I actually covered this in This Week is Stupid. About Fauci and the beagles. Let me show it to you guys. Alright. Hold on. I'll put it. There we go. See, this would be a great Disney movie. I would love watching it. It would have a lot of drama, a lot of emotion. People would scream, people would cry, which is the point of art, is to make people feel something. You get to feel a lot of emotions running through. Only this one wouldn't have a happy ending. This one wouldn't end with joy. It would be one of those depressing movies, like Titanic. The only person getting a happy ending would be Dr. Fauci. But you know what? I bet that this movie would actually get better ratings than Dr. Fauci, the documentary. 3 a.m. the devil's hour. No, it's the hour of the wolf, man. Alright, I can show it. So, I will show you the picture of Trey with his kid. This is so wholesome. How can you see through this crap? I mean, I can see the kid can see through here. But how can you see through this crap? Oh look, there's people behind. There's other people trick-or-treating. Yeah, I kinda wish we had this celebration here. It looks kinda cool. Those soulless eyes. But you know, I actually said this in This Week is Stupid. At least Cruella wanted to create a cult. Like there would have been something that came out from the suffering of the Dalmatians. It would materialize into something. Nothing came out of what Fauci did to the beagles. Absolutely nothing. Just misery and suffering. That's it. It's completely pointless. It's not just that he tortured them. Like, they managed to... Okay, they even debarked the puppies. So for those of you who don't know, they took the puppies, they placed their heads in a tent where you had flesh-eating flies, so that the flies eat the puppies alive, starting with their eyes. And of course, you know, the puppies would howl, so what they did is they debarked the puppies. They took away their vocal cords. I mean... Tell me you can't make a good movie out of that. Tell me that wouldn't make for a big screen adaptation. And people wouldn't give it a better rating on Rotten Tomatoes than they did for the documentary. Okay, Korean, that's actually quite cool. No, it's not fake news. It's confirmed. Dude, Vlad the Impaler was actually more humane. With his ways of torture, like he would die fast. That is beyond agonizingly slow. At least Vlad would let you scream. Jesus fucking Christ. Look it up. I'm not making it up. Like, it's actually something that happened. Even PETA was upset. Like, for the first time ever, I find myself agreeing with PETA on something. Even then, you know, like I would understand if some medication came out of it, like it would have helped some people, so you at least can rationalize it. So at least you can like try to just find like, okay, this had to happen so they can save grandma, like a cure for cancer or something, you know. And it's like, all right, this had to happen so we have a cure for cancer. Nothing came out of it. Just nothing. Now I know why they do it, by the way. It's because you have these medical institutions which are on taxpayer money, and they have to justify getting more taxpayer. So they use these weird, bizarre experiments to claim that they did something so that they can publish a paper, and they get justification for why they're being paid. And then you also have people who want a PhD. Now, PhD is something that's supposed to further the knowledge of mankind in a specific field. Like, you're supposed to discover something that no one thought about before. And you need PhD in order to get to certain professions. Usually, if you want to be a teacher at med school, you need a PhD, right? So what ends up happening is you have a lot of people who do a PhD into something like this. And, you know, technically they discovered something new, but my God, this is so fucked up. How the fuck can you live with yourself? Fucking atrocious. Yeah, at least PETA kills the puppies fast. At least PETA gasses them, doesn't fucking torture them to death. Jesus Christ. Isn't Vlad the Impaler considered a hero in Romania? Yeah, he actually is. You have to learn about him when you're a kid. But to be honest, if you look back in the days, what Vlad the Impaler did wasn't out of the ordinary. I mean, look at some of the medieval torture that people would employ. It's utterly sick. It's not okay to compare people from the medieval time with our standards. I mean, look at the Brits. Draw and quartering. So you tie a person to 4 horses, and each horse goes into a different direction so you can rip the person apart. Sawing someone upside down. Boiling people alive. One of the more interesting ones is where you place someone in water, like a bucket of water, and you just leave them there. And eventually they marinate in their own excrements, and they have the opportunity to attract flies, mosquitoes, worms, and all the other shit. And they die like that. You know, so when you look at through that prism and you're applying the logic to how people used to live back then, yeah, it's not really that out of the ordinary what he did. People haven't changed that much. They'll still torture someone if someone tells them to. I know there's experiments where, you know, you have a guy in a lab coat and they try to make this experiment where an actor was on the other side and you had a person that was supposed to ask a question, and if the person answers incorrectly, they're supposed to give them an electric shock, and they're supposed to increase the voltage. And the actor at one point says that they feel they're having a heart attack. So they wanted to see if the person who's part of the experiment will shock the other individual, even knowing that they can potentially kill the guy. So they wanted to see like who goes to the max voltage. And the only reason that people would do it is that there was a guy with a lab coat telling them to continue. So they would say like, look, the guy is screaming, I don't want to continue. No, you need to continue. You have to go on. And not surprisingly, over 2/3 of the candidates administered the highest voltage. Just because they had a guy with a lab coat behind them telling them, you need to continue, you need to go on. Now, what's also interesting about these experiments is that there was another one which was made, and it involved also an actor. And the actor would start talking about himself, saying that he's from New York and that he usually suffers from epileptic crisis and blah, 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 blah. And all of the people were in different rooms. They couldn't see each other. And at one point, the actor would say that he's feeling very sick and he feels that he's going to go into a crisis and he's begging for help. And what's interesting is that only less than 1/3 of people would actually get up from the booth and try to go to help the guy. Now, here's the interesting fact, is that this is called the bystander event, right? Where most people assume that someone else is going to go and give help. I don't really like this experiment because, for some people, like, okay, maybe the guy has an epileptic crisis, but they don't know what to do. So it's like, okay, you go there and what do? You watch him, like, but still, like maybe they should have got to get help. That's fine. But what's interesting is like less than a third of people decided to go do it. But what's interesting is that if you say like you would tell this experiment to other people, and like I would tell this experiment to the chat, and I would say, Trey or Abdi Muhammad, do you guys think he would help or not? Now, the statistics. 2 out of 3 people aren't going to help. Now, it would be safe to say that no, he will not help, right? Because that's what the average say. That's what the statistics say. But because it's a person you guys know, because it's someone that you actually consider of knowing, you will say that he will help. Like almost 99.9% of people would always say, yes, like that guy will help, even though the statistics are that two-thirds would not even move a muscle. The Milgram Experiment? Oh my god, that is like the worst question. When will Alec Baldwin resume shooting? Oof. That is... people aren't statistic. You say this, okay? But at med school, the first thing they teach us is to always assume the patient has the most common disease for the symptoms that they're having. So there is this saying at med school that when you hear hooves, you should think of horses and not zebras. So statistics actually work. Like if someone, for example, comes with a severe abdominal pain, you're going to think, and it's a young person, you're going to think appendicitis, you're not going to think cancer. Because statistically, young people in their early 20s, very less likely to have cancer, and very likely to have appendicitis. So you go by the statistics, right? But the reason you do this is because these statistics don't offend anyone. But if you say Abdi Muhammad, he would not go to help that person, now I'm being offensive. Now I'm implying that Abdi Muhammad is a person of low moral fiber, right? So this is why people don't usually use the statistics even when it would be appropriate. Hello, Christian Gabriel. How's it going? Why do you have a check mark and I don't? Got some spoilers for this week in stupid video. Let me see if I have it here. This is the video. We got, let's see. We got the Build Back Better agenda for folks like Brandon. His story, like so many I've heard, across the country, right? So Brandon here is actually very happy that the president has the Build Back Better agenda. So it's very heartwarming to see a person in Brandon's situation managing to find hope. Speaking of the Brandon song, right? So there you go. I gave you the sneak peek. No, I did not cover the Virginia ticket torch. I will cover it in the live stream after This Week is Stupid, simply because there's a lot more to talk about. I tried to keep This Week is Stupid for 30 minutes long, and if I go into the Virginia hoax, I would have to explain how they managed to figure out it's a hoax, and there's a lot of commentary around it. So I will talk about it in the live stream after This Week is Stupid. So disabled people working. This is actually something very interesting that communists did in my country. So you guys know, right, that in socialism, the whole idea is to create the safety net. And what the communists did through central planning is that they made sure that almost no one gets to use the safety net. So let's say you're disabled. Now, depending on your disability, they would still find a job for you. So let's say, I don't know, you were in a wheelchair, they would put you to peel potatoes. There was a job that people in a wheelchair did. So they would tell you to go into an elevator at a hospital, and you had to press the buttons so that when the doctor with the patient comes in, like let's say they have, what do you call it, a stretcher, and the doctors have their hands full, you're the guy in the wheelchair just pressing the button, and they would give you a wage for this. And I remember, like, almost in every store there was a person sitting on a chair in the elevator, and they would just press the fucking button, and they would usually have a magazine to read or some word puzzle or something. Like, I can't believe just how dehumanizing that type of job must have been. I know, like, hotels do it, but I think even in hotels, like if you go to a 5-star hotel, there might be a guy that presses the button on the elevator. But he does that for like 1 or 2 hours, because then like his shift is over and he gets to do something else. I mean, that is so crushing. I can't imagine, right? But the communists, they were under the idea that, okay, you're going to get money, but you're going to work for it. And they would find a job, even for disabled people. No matter how disabled you are, they would find a job for you. Now, if you are the type of person that, you know, has drool coming out of your mouth and you really can't do anything, okay, that is the person that would get welfare. Joe Biden is destroying the economy to build back better because it is easier to manipulate desperate people. Yeah, I mean, that is the whole point. A person that has money has freedom. A person that doesn't have money is dependent. Let me see if I can. I think it was called Elevator Usher. You guys had it in America as well. I never understand. I mean, I actually enjoy pressing the button. So yeah. Like, this is the type of thing. So you go into the elevator and there's someone just pressing the button, and they're asking you, like, what floor do you want? And you're like, 2. And they would press a button. And I never understand why this job exists. Because I actually enjoy pressing the fucking button. So why would there be someone pressing a button for me? There also used to be a job where you would have a person opening the door. I guess, like, if it's a big hotel or something, right? Like, you have the guy that opens and closes this metal door to make sure that the safety is guaranteed. So I kind of get, like, where this job started from. Like, back when you had these types of elevators and you need to make sure that everything is safe, because otherwise, like, the store would be responsible. So if someone didn't lock the door properly, or if anything bad happened, that the store would be responsible. So they would hire a guy to do the opening the door, closing the door, pressing the button. I get it. But come on. We're talking about modern elevators now. There's no reason for this job to exist. And usually I don't argue about taking the bread away from someone, but really? It's better than bathroom attendant. I don't know. I guess. No, not really, because at least in the bathroom you have some space. Like, in the elevator, you're trapped in that little prison. Like, all you see is that little prison that it's literally the wage cage. Except it's like moving around. The height of luxury is not even lifting a finger. Yeah, but see, I disagree with that, because sometimes lifting a finger is fun. So there are certain things that I still want to do myself. And I don't appreciate, like, just... For example, I wouldn't like someone else washing me. Like, I enjoy bathing. I enjoy, putting the soap onto my body. I enjoy that shit. Like, I wouldn't like someone else doing it. Putting my underwear. Like, I wouldn't like someone else to dress me up with my underwear. Unless, of course, I wouldn't be able to do it. Like, let's say I'm paralyzed. Then, okay, fine. Wagey cagey, yes. Peasant V. I think if you go to Dubai at some of the more expensive hotels, like there's literally a person that does everything for you. There's a person that opens your door. Even when you go into the hotel lounge and you're supposed to have breakfast and you're showing like what you're picking what you want, there's actually a person with a plate that picks things for you. They want to make you feel like you're Allah or something, and just like Allah, you can be a wrathful God if they don't do what you say. But still, I don't like that type of luxury. I can get food myself. I don't need someone to put the food in my plate. It's just so weird. I don't know. Alright, so about Far Cry, I don't think I'm going to play Far Cry anymore. I hope you guys aren't disappointed, but there's two reasons why I'm not playing Far Cry. Number one, the game is shit. Absolute shit. And I'm actually going to make a review about how shit it is. I've played Far Cry 2 recently, and I came to the conclusion that Far Cry 6 is objectively shit. Okay? Not subjectively, objectively shit. There is no subjectivity about bugs making a game shit. There are bugs in the game. The AI is mentally challenged. There is no provocation to the game. The graphics are worse. The engine is worse than Far Cry 2. I mean, all of these things are objective. There is no reason you should pay full price for the game. And I guess the only subjective thing would be the characters. I doubt a single person is going to remember the name of these characters 5 years from now. Good characters, they stick with you. You know, Tali Zora Vas Normandy, Morrigan from Dragon Age, Vas from Far Cry 3. Like, all these characters you get to remember because they're great characters. I highly doubt that anyone is going to remember a single character from this game. The dialogue is cringe. The story is cringe. Everything about this game is absolutely terrible. There is no redeeming factor whatsoever. I think, and I'm telling you, without lying, this is the worst game I have played this year. 2021, worst game, Far Cry 6. Even worse, I would say even worse than Life is Strange. At least in Life is Strange, it's trying to be a story game, and it actually does that. It actually tells us. This is supposed to be a first-person shooter where you're literally next to an enemy and they don't notice you. You fire at an enemy and you miss, they don't sound an alarm. You have a helicopter that fires at you for 5 minutes and you're not taking any damage. This game is absolutely ridiculous. It's one of the worst first-person shooters that I have ever had the displeasure of playing. See, people might remember the crocodile. You don't even know his name. Thank you, Zenith. I appreciate it. So the other reason I'm not playing is because no one is watching. I've been playing it yesterday. I think I got like 60 people watching. And I'm sorry, but no, people aren't interested in it. You see, games are getting worse. Age of Empires 4 is actually a good game. If you're an Age of Empire fan, you'll like it. I haven't heard a single Age of Empires fan play Age of Empires 4 and say it's a bad game. The only exception is that some people say it's overpriced because it doesn't add too many features. That's a good criticism. Okay, fine. You got a point if you're saying that. But other than that, no, it's a good game. I'm having fun playing it. And let's see, any other good games this year? Pathfinder Kingmaker, excellent game. Hands down, one of the best RPGs I've played in a while. Darkest Dungeon 2 is coming out. Apparently, if you like the first one, you're going to like the second. Baldur's Gate 3 isn't bad. I mean, it's not out yet, but it looks good. So, I mean, there are a couple of games that you can play. There are a couple of good games, but definitely Far Cry, not one of it. Looking forward to Battlelords. I heard about it, but Deathloop. Yeah, so I played a little bit of Deathloop. It was kind of funny, but for some reason Pathfinder came out, and I moved to that, so I haven't played Deathloop. I guess Deathloop might be good. I don't know. There was a game. There was a game that was actually good. So there was this game which I would actually recommend. Returnal. This game was fun as hell. I mean, I really love playing this. In my opinion, it would definitely be up there with the game of the year. So you get to play with this ugly lady with no ass, and you're stranded on a planet. So it's kind of like Rogue Legacy, I suppose, or like Hades. Okay, like Hades. You go around, you pick up power-ups. Some of the power-ups, they remain with you after you die. Other power-ups, they go away. And you have like different runs, and you need to escape the planet. And there's a cool plot twist, major spoilers. You actually end up getting out from the planet. You manage to live out your life, you die of old age, and then you resurrect on the planet again. Because that's the whole thing. Like, every time she dies, she resurrects on the planet. It's a little bit more interesting on why this is happening. But all in all, it's one of the best games I have played this year. Very challenging. Quite brutal until you get some power-ups. And I would wholeheartedly recommend it. It's very addictive. Very great. Halo Infinite is looking good. Got to play the multiplayer. So, I'm not a Halo fan because I never had an Xbox. I don't know anything about the Halo universe. I don't know anything about it. But, okay, if you say it's good, doesn't sound very appealing. No, it's not the original Dead Space because it's not horror. It's kind of like Doom. So it's a first-person shooter. It's very adrenaline-based. You need to dodge a lot of projectiles, kind of like bullet hell. You get power-ups. It's more like Doom than Dead Space. The monsters aren't creepy. In fact, it takes a while to get used to them because they look kind of bizarre. But it's a great game. So, I don't know anything about Halo Infinite. Haven't played Tales of Arise either. But, I can't say it was a bad year for gaming, which is kind of sad because if you think about it, there haven't been that many games this year. And it's not because of COVID, although like people say that might have something to do with it. I think it's more to do with the fact that everyone is making games for the mobile now. I mean, the mobile industry, despite COVID, had a plethora of games because they're cheap to make and they're very easy to monetize. It's very easy to milk mobile people from their money. And because of that, we don't get AAA games. Which in a way, some people might say it's good. Although, yeah, so they're doing two different games that I'm hyped about. One game is they're remaking Dead Space 1. The reason I'm hyped about it is because I hope that they're going to also make Dead Space 4. But even if they don't make that, the creators of the original Dead Space are making their own horror game. And I think it's set, this is very bizarre, but it's set in the world of PUBG. So, PlayerUnknown Battleground, apparently it's a universe. And it's being set in Mars, or Venus actually, no, in Venus. And it's in the same world as PUBG, although it's very far into the distant future. So that is an interesting game that I want to play. What is it called? I think it's the Talos Principle or something like that. Yeah. Let me see if I can find it. I'll show you. Yeah, the Callisto Protocol. So this is in the world of PUBG. And it's made by the creators of Dead Space. And as you can see, they have the same thing on the neck, displaying the health. Right, so this guy wakes up in a cage. Apparently, his cellmate is infected. Right, so this looks fun. You should emulate the 3D same as games. They are very good. Can you play them on PC? Oh, emulate. No, sorry. It's not on mobile. It's on PC, this game. Alright. I think we're going to end the stream here because I need to go to bed as well. 3:30 a.m. here. So thank you guys for sticking up all this time until how late is it in your country? If it's 3 a.m. here, it's probably morning for you, isn't it? Yeah, thank you for staying up with me, and thanks a lot for the super chats. I really appreciate it.